Terminator 2 is regarded by many as one of the best movies ever made, and that's down to many different qualifications. Best sequel, best sci-fi film, best action film, best Arnie film, best time travel film, most quotable film,
Hasta la vista, baby.
most badass film, best special effects, best makeup. Basically, people f***ing love Terminator 2. And it's mind-blowing that a movie this impressive came out in 1991. But of all the praise and all the reviews and all the video essays, why does no one talk about the nuclear holocaust nightmare sequence? People seem to be pretty mixed on James Cameron, which I get. He's such a big character in the world of filmmaking, and understandably egotistical.
I'm the king of the world!
But look at his work. The Terminator, Aliens, The Abyss, True Lies, Titanic, Avatar, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Piranha 2 The Spawning. This man has been at the forefront of new technologies and revolutionary ways to tell stories for the last 35 years. It's no wonder he knocks it out of the park every time. Seriously, for whatever can be said about Avatar and the Unobtainium, or the constant boring criticism of it being like Pocahontas or Dances with Wolves, Last Samurai, Ferngully, Last Rainforest, Avatar was like nothing you'd ever seen in 2009. And that's down to the special effects. Cameron knows what he wants, and he knows the best people for the job. Avatar used Weta Digital, who obviously blew everyone away with Lord of the Rings. The Abyss used Industrial Light and Magic, who need no introduction. But for the practical effects, there was no better place to go but with Stan Winston. With the help of Winston and his team, James Cameron was able to bring things to life in such a way that couldn't be replicated through CG or any other method. Whether it were the Alien Queen in Aliens, or the iconic design of the Terminator, Winston and his company realised Cameron's vision through practical special effects in such a way that added true weight to the films that are being made. Cameron knew where to combine CG with practical effects. This can be especially seen in Terminator 2. In its entire 137-minute runtime, apparently there are only 42 shots involving CG. Which makes sense, because the CG mostly covers transformations of the terrifying T-1000. But it's very impressive when you realise how much of the effects were actually practical. From the Terminators, to the action sequences, to the scene where I have no idea why people don't talk about more. Sarah Connor's nightmare. Now remember, I was born in the year Terminator 2 came out, and growing up watching movies of the 80s and 90s on TV late at night, you see a lot of scary stuff. But of it all, Terminator 2 has the scene that stuck with me. The Terminator in general was a terrifying concept. These are films about futuristic murder robots sent back through time, and they just won't stop until they terminate you. And the sequel is even scarier because now the Terminator could be anyone. But it's not the future and its murder robots that scared the crap out of me. It's the horror at our own hands. It's Judgment Day itself, which is the fault of man. Turns out trusting the United States nuclear weapons with a self-aware artificial intelligence turns out to be a bad idea. It's a dream sequence for sure, but there's just something about the context and the nightmare that adds to the effect. It's the innocence. We're not watching soldiers locked in battle, or generals and political types getting it. It's families. It's children. Hell, the opening credits are so eerie using similar imagery. A playground on fire is just a certain type of uneasy.
So sad. Innocence lost.
But what really does it though, of course, are the practical effects. Everything blends so well in such a way that it just adds to how horrific the sequence is. The city, for example, was a small-scale model they built, so they could use high-powered fans to blow away the specially constructed roads and buildings. The true area of note, however, are Stan Winston's creations for the aftermath of the nuclear blast, the bodies of those on the playground being blown away. It was a choice from James Cameron that Winston noted as being very unsettling, but also necessary for the film. Which is true. These are the horrors of a potential reality. It gives Sarah Connor more than enough motivation to bring down the potential creation of Skynet, which is the AI that will bring about Judgment Day. It's just so uncomfortable watching bodies turn to ash and being destroyed. The true icing on the cake, however, is the fact that Winston and his crew created several duplicates of Linda Hamilton to set ablaze for the sequence, leading to haunting images and the one shot that will be ingrained in my mind, the life being ripped off her skeleton, which leads Sarah to jolt back awake into the present day. Nuclear attacks have been depicted before and after Terminator 2, all in different ways. Hell, you can even experience them in Call of Duty, but there's just something so affecting about it in Terminator 2. It spoke for the motivation of the characters, it spoke to the backstory behind the future Arnie's Terminator and where he comes from, it spoke to how dangerous the bad guys are and how we were the ones that created them. But mostly, in a film involving time-travelling cyborgs who can turn into deadly weapons on the whim, the actual scary parts are the most realistic ones, while the rest of the film remains in science fiction. Sarah Connor's nightmare of nuclear holocaust stands as a true-life warning. That can happen, and that's what's terrifying. Maybe that's why no one speaks about this scene amongst everything else that's in this movie. Hell, I've heard more people mention that that's Hank from Breaking Bad than I have heard people talk about the nightmare sequence. The tunnel scene from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? Same energy. Where the hell did that come from? And why does no one ever mention it again? Terminator 2 is a masterpiece across all criteria, but I'd like to add this sequence into the mix. There are choices and moments in James Cameron's films that people don't necessarily mention, which is a shame, but this scene will be in my head forever. A warning, an alternate reality, whatever. It's just good to know that there's no fate but what we make. So let's make it a good one. Keep giving me more of this though.